Hello, everybody, and welcome to Quarantine Kids Storytime. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome to this very special live broadcast from me, Sasha Cooper, the co-founder of Quarantine Kids Storytime. All I can say is thank you so much for joining us at this very special time, because honestly, we do have a really exciting day ahead of us. Today, we launch the very first collaboration that with another company. In this instance, it's with the Blind Cupid Shakespeare Company. And I cannot believe we've actually managed to get on board with this, because I'm not going to lie to you guys, this has been quite an exciting but yet very, very much a learning curving time, because Jack and myself, obviously the rest of the actors on board with everybody, we have literally all been forced into this situation during these uncertain times. And it's because of these uncertain times that we're able to start creating something like this, which is actually quite very different for us. If you are new to us, let me tell you a little bit about Quarantine Kids and why it was set up first and foremost, because we got a few things on the Alice and myself, when we actually started doing these particular stories. We originally wanted to do something that entertains families and children and those young at heart, for everybody else. I see there's about a few people popping on, so thank you very much. Do say hi. Comment down below into the comments box if you are watching, and if you've got any questions for us as well, which I'll try and answer as best as possible. And obviously, please do share this broadcast out, because the more we can get this out there, the more we can start generating a lot of interest, especially with the project coming up later this afternoon. But anyway, as I was saying, Alice J. Crouch basically approached me to come on board with this project to help her get this going. And what basically happened was, over the last year now, and my gosh, I can't believe this, we've actually been on the go for nearly a year. I think it's about 2 or 3 days away now from our official anniversary of broadcasting on YouTube for a year. I can't believe it. I mean, in that time, we've actually come a long way. You know, all the actors who came on board with us have learned all sorts of new skills and new ways of working, but all of them have one thing in common, and that is to really spread the joy and love that stories have in these uncertain times, especially as things start to improve and start getting better. Now, in terms of stories that we do, we have a lot of classic tales, ranging from the Grimm's fairy tales up to some very fun poetry from Spike Milligan. And there's also a lot of classic tales like Heidi. That was our relatively recent one. Currently, we've got Doctor Dolittle on the go by Hugh Lofting. And we've also got other little short stories that we've done in the past as well, in the sense of actually doing stuff with absolute huge thanks to publishers like Penguin Kids, and of course Scallywag Press for the Flintlock Bones series that Jack and I did back in the summer last year. But all the while, everybody who has been involved with this project has given their time for absolutely free. And that's also including literally doing a lot of stuff for charity. Now, like I say, if you are new to the channel, there's also a huge thing that we did in the sense of doing things like Peter Pan by J.M. Barrie, in which we raised about £310 for Great Ormond Street Hospital. And that was last year. We also did another big group project, which wasn't for charity, but we did do it for fun because a lot of us loved Halloween, and that was The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe. And more recently, over the Christmas period, we also did a big project that was focusing on The Nutcracker by E.T.A. Hoffman, in which we raised money for Mind, as well as a local children's hospice called Chestnut Treehouse down here in Brighton. That's where I'm based. Anyway, this coming up is our next big project, and it's got to be our biggest one to date. Okay. And this is mainly the reason why we're doing this. All right. So today at 2 o'clock, we are going to be launching quite a big project. It's our biggest project to date, like I say, and you can tell this is live because I'm stumbling over my words. But anyway, oh, the joys of live as opposed to editing. But anyway, like I was saying, this is our biggest project to date because, and this is a bit of a story time, but not the normal sort of story. What happened was that I stumbled across on my internet travels a very interesting new writing group, which is run by the wonderful Jo Staton. Now, Staton and I connected during this play reading, and it was done via obviously Zoom because we had a lot of people in the States and all sorts of stuff going on. And Jo and I started chatting away and getting to know each other a bit better. And we found out that we had these projects on the go. So obviously Quarantine Kids Storytime, our end, but his end intrigued me because he actually turned out to be the founder of the Blind Cupid Shakespeare Company. Now, the Blind Cupid Shakespeare Company, when they approach Shakespeare, what I love about them is the fact that they make sure several things happen. One, that Shakespeare is accessible to everybody. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. They want to make sure that it's completely accessible to everybody. Doesn't matter whether you speak English or whether you don't, whether you're old, whether you're young. The whole point of the matter is Shakespeare is for everybody as far as they're concerned, and it's the same thing my end because I love Shakespeare. And I have to admit, I was brought up with Shakespeare as a kid. Oh, hello! I've just seen another person come in. Thank you so much for joining us. Just a quick recap before we go any further. My name's Sasha Cooper, and I'm the co-founder of Quarantine Kids Storytime. So I was just saying a little bit about where we've come from and what the project is. And I was just mentioning about Jo Staton and I from basically connecting the way that we did. Now, it turns out that the more I spoke to Jo, the more I kind of gathered that there was a really interesting common connection, and that was to make Shakespeare enjoyable. And the aim of the Blind Cupid Shakespeare Company, like I say, is to make Shakespeare accessible. But the main thing that they focus on is taking it to countries where it wouldn't normally be accessible. For instance, one of the big projects that they're planning on when everything is safe to do so. Hey there, Jack Chandler, welcome. In fact, our Jack here is our audio editor for the project. So there you go. So anything that you hear on the Shakespearean project, that's down to him, okay? But again, more on that in a second. Anyway, as I was saying, one of the big projects that Blind Cupid have got on the go is they want to be taking it to places like Spain, especially southern Spain, for instance, where Shakespeare doesn't seem to be as accessible as it would do, say, in other parts of the world, like the UK or France, for instance. But, pardon me, you can tell this is live, can't you? Apologies for the burp there. Hello, Andrea Rose. Welcome. And of course, our lovely Andrea is part of our readers team too. But again, more on these guys later. Thank you very much for joining. Anyway, so here is the actual situation with other countries as well. One of the other countries they want to take Shakespeare to is Morocco. Now, you would probably think, hang on, Morocco, why has that got a connection with Shakespeare? Well, actually, it's to do. Well, I say it's to do, but it could be to do with all sorts of reasons. But immediately, when I think of Morocco, I think of Othello. I think of all sorts of different characters. Like from that wonderful country. But for some reason, Morocco and certain other countries don't have access to the wonderful bard. So that's where Blind Cupid comes in. Okay. Now, when Joe found out that I did Quarantine Kids story time, he basically said, "Hey, Sash, do you fancy teaming up?" And the next thing I know, out of nowhere, I'm going, "Yes, why not?" Yeah, is it going to be a big mistake? Definitely not. Definitely not. Because what then happened I mean, that was back in January. Okay. That was sort of late December, January sort of time. Now, move forward to a few months later to February. And the next thing that happens is this becomes a reality. And this is where we are now. We are basically moving forward into the biggest project that we've ever embarked upon. And this has got to be the first collaboration that I've personally done with another company. And that is the Tales of Shakespeare, adapted from the original plays of Shakespeare by Charles and Mary Lamb. Now, this is a little bit of an interesting story because I was introduced to these particular tales at the very, very early age of 6, thanks to my wonderful parents who I know are watching. Hi, guys. So I've got them to blame, especially mother, but that's another story. Anyway, it's because of the Charles and Mary Lamb tales that I wanted to actually know more about Shakespeare. I wanted to know more about the stories and all the interesting characters that there were. It was all kinds of different fun. Do you know what I mean? And well, for a while now on Quarantine Kids, I've wanted to do the stories of Charles and Mary Lamb, but I thought, would they go down all right? Would they not? So I tested the waters a little bit, and Phil Humphreys, who's one of our stalwart writers and readers of the team, and you'll hear him in one of the tales as well. He did about 4 or 5 Shakespeare tales from Edith Nesbit's version of the Bard, and those went down pretty well. So when Joe approached me, I said, "Okay, yes, but on one condition: we do the Charles and Mary Lamb tales of these particular plays." And he was like, "Really? I've not heard." It's interesting because Charles and Mary Lamb, years and years ago, were the most popular sort of stories to read. Not so much nowadays. So it's now more important than ever that we bring them back into the public domain, so to speak. And it's quite interesting, actually, because I said on the actual thing, fun facts about Shakespeare. And so you never know, this might intrigue you a little bit here. But did you know that Shakespeare himself actually coined a lot of the phrases that we use today in modern day language? And it's true, actually, because one of the you would think, with the language that he uses, and if you're one of these people that basically looks at the town and go, "What on earth is he going on about?" You will be surprised. You may be surprised to hear that he actually coined a lot of the phrases that we use today. And I'm going to use my second device here as quick reference. In fact, he's actually coined phrases such as, for instance, "We have seen better days," which is from Act 2, Scene 7 of As You Like It. And another As You Like It quote reference: "Too much of a good thing." That's Shakespeare as well. That's taken from Act 4, Scene 1. And another one is the comedy of errors of all things. And of course, if you're anything like me and you like your comedy, this is a good one as well. Have you ever heard the phrase "neither rhyme nor reason"? That's another Shakespearean quote. That's from Act 2, Scene 2. But my favourite one, and it is pretty much how I'm feeling at the moment, so please do bear with me. I have not slept one wink. And that's actually from Cymbeline or Cymbeline, as it's also known as. You'll find as well there are two variations on some of the pronunciations. But it's from Cymbeline in this instance, from Act 3, Scene 4. I have not slept one wink. And it has felt a little bit during this experience like I've not slept at all, but that's only because, Jack and myself are very passionate about actually bringing the best that we possibly can to these scenarios, if that makes sense. And what we wanted to do was we wanted to make sure that Shakespeare, like the Blind Cupid Shakespeare Company, was to be made accessible. And the best way to start doing this is via the Charles and Mary Lamb tales. Now, we do launch this today at 2 p.m. with the very first tale from us, which is All's Well That Ends Well. And it's narrated by the wonderful Claire Cool with the aided wonderful help of Christine Hepworth James. Okay? And tomorrow, well, all I'm going to say is Blind Cupid have got something very special. But then you probably see it in the premiere anyway. It's actually Romeo and Juliet, the wonderful love story. And I've got to say, it's my absolute favourite tale of all of the Shakespeare plays. Don't get me wrong, I love them all. But that one, that always gets me for some reason. Anyway, the reason why also we're doing this is because of these uncertain times. As opposed to charity, we'd like to support our actors. So what we're going to do is we're going to encourage you guys to donate via the Eventbrite link. It is live, and we want to encourage you to donate as much or as little as you can. I mean, even if it's as little as £1, like I said in the last video, that £1 will go a long way. So if you join us at 2 and you like what you hear, please do donate via the Eventbrite link, which is down below in the comments, and it will also be on the links of the rest of the tales going forwards as well. You can donate at any time you like. You can also look at the tales at any time you like, but we are launching at 2 p.m. and there is plenty of opportunity for you to donate between now and June, which is when these tales will go out, and it will always be on Saturdays and Sundays at 2 p.m. British summertime. I keep wanting to say GMT, but I better not. Anyway, on that note, guys, please do continue to support the channel because we really do appreciate as much support as we possibly can get. And I just want to say as well, thank you as well to all of you who do subscribe and support our channel in that way, because, the more we can grow, the more we can get these wonderful tales out there. So, in the meantime, please do join us at 2 o'clock today for the launch of All's Well That Ends Well and the Tales of Shakespeare. And of course, get donating because we'd like to support our actors. And just to let you know, the funds will be split between the two companies. That's us and the Blind Cupid Shakespeare Company. So you're supporting both of our respective companies' actors. Thank you, especially as they need a really nice reward after all they've done. So thank you. And thank you as well for listening and supporting. My name's been Sasha Cooper, and this has been Quarantine Kids Storytime First Live. But you know what I'm going to do in the meantime? I'm going to snuggle under this wonderful blanket until it is time. No, I'm joking. But this is actually what I'm going to be snuggling under whilst I am listening to the tales. I like a little bit of zebra as well. Anyway, take care, guys. And I will see you for the launch at 2 o'clock today. That's the 10th of April if you are watching this back on the replay. Take care, everybody. And stay safe out there as always. Love you all. Bye-bye.